Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, December 22nd, 2019. I'm Reverend Joseph. First off, let me apologize for not being able to broadcast this Sunday service live. We were having some difficulties with our Ustream service. Today's discourse is going to be on the meaning of Christmas. Before I delve into that, though, I would like to share a few announcements. First announcement is there is an easy way to donate to the Spirit of Lotus, and that is by using Amazon Smile. Amazon Smile is a feature of Amazon and Amazon Prime. Basically what you do is go on to whatever browser you use and you can put in the search for Amazon Smile. That will get you to Amazon Smile, and then it'll ask you for the charity that you would like to donate to. And we would appreciate if you would choose Spirit of Lotus. And once you do that, you can just use Amazon Smile like you would the normal Amazon or Amazon Prime, and you can select whatever item you want to purchase. And then what happens is 0.5% of that purchase price would go to Spirit of Lotus. So it's a really easy way to donate to the church. The second announcement is that we have a call for new ministers, and this is a 6-month course if you want to become a new minister, which will be going from April through October of 2020. The course will be taught by Reverend Tara, and it meets for 1 week, one time each week for 6 months, and each class lasts about 1 to 2 hours, and the program for the different classes is on our church website. So if you're interested in serving humanity and just creation in this fashion, please go to our church website. There's an application for the new ministers as well as a syllabus for the course. Third announcement is that our online bookstore is now available, and there's 3 items for purchase on the bookstore. The first is the 7 Utterances on the Cross booklet. The second is the Book of Chants that we use here at the Spirit of Lotus, and along with the Book of Chants will be an audio file of many of the chants that we sing here. The third item for purchase is a written description of the Rainbow Bridge meditation along with 2 audio files for the meditation, one done by Reverend Tara and one done by myself. The final announcement is that we have our 2020 retreat in Washington, D.C. this year, and it will be from July 25 through July 31, 2020. And in terms of the course topic for the retreat, it will generally be liberating the soul's power. And so if you're interested in attending the retreat, there are applications online and more description of the retreat itself online. So that's it for the announcements. And now we'll get into the discourse on the meaning of Christmas. An argument could be made that Christmas really started with an emotional cry from humanity. And what do I mean by that? For those of you who have a Bible, if you go to the Old Testament and specifically go to Psalm 22, one of the psalms written by David, in the beginning this psalm starts with the following: my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring? As many of you know, on the cross when Christ was crucified, he referred back to this Psalm 22 by David, and actually repeated the first part of it, namely this emotional cry of, my God, why have you forsaken me?" This emotional cry is a common refrain of humanity, and probably has been around since humanity has been around. It's this cry of, God, I've been praying to you, I've been asking for your assistance, I've been asking for your help, and you're not doing anything about it. There are all of these evils in the world, all of this darkness, all of this destruction, all of this chaos, and despite all of our prayers, you haven't done anything about it. And moreover, we have all of this suffering in the world, and you do not understand or appreciate our suffering. The whole foundation of this emotional cry by humanity is based on a misconception. And what is this misconception? The misconception is that we as humans do not have the insight, do not have the wisdom, do not have the power to change events which are occurring in our world, and that we have to rely on God to intervene and take care of things for us. This is a misunderstanding of our divine heritage, a misunderstanding of our position as co-creators with God. For in reality, as divine beings, we can dictate what happens in the world around us. We can make change in the world around us, constructive change. We can prevent darkness. We can prevent evil. We can prevent war. And yet we don't recognize our ability to do that. Yes, there is sin in the world. Yes, there is darkness in the world. Yes, there is chaos, inhumanity, war, all kinds of problems in the world. But if God were to come and intervene every time we cry for help, that would be taking away one of the greatest gifts that God has given to us, and that is free will, our free will choice. But there came a point in time with humanity continually making this emotional cry, my God, why hast thou forsaken us?" where God decided to respond. And this is where we get to the start of Christmas. God responded by sending his only begotten Son to humanity. And by sending his only begotten Son, God was doing many things, of course, but two of the things that he was doing are, number one, he was showing humanity that I do hear you, I do understand and appreciate your suffering, I do know what's going on in the world around you, and I am going to respond to that by sending my only begotten Son. And number two, by sending his only begotten Son, God was sending us a being that would show us the way back to God, the way back to a complete and understanding of our true divine heritage. So as we know in the Bible, it says, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. The important part about that particular phrase is the word love. It was God's unconditional, unlimited love for humanity and all creation which drove him to send his only begotten Son. And in his coming, Christ taught about love. In fact, one of the main emphases of his teachings here on earth was the Golden Rule. And we know from the Golden Rule that Christ taught that whatever you would have done unto yourself, do unto others. And in teaching about this Golden Rule, Christ indicated very clearly that it was the law, that this is something that had to be followed. And you can see that if you want to look that up. That is in the New Testament in the Bible, in Matthew chapter 12, and this is where Christ is talking about the Golden Rule. So in this verse from, actually it's chapter 7, excuse me, it's Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. So in this chapter, that particular verse, Christ says, "Therefore, all things, whatever ye would have that men should do unto you, do ye so unto them. For this is the law." The point I'm trying to make here is that in responding to humanity's emotional cry, in sending his only begotten Son, and we now have the birth of Christ, God was showing humanity that the key is love. Christmas is really all about love. Yes, there are some aspects of Christmas which people could argue are really commercial in nature. And this has to do with the purchasing and giving of gifts. But in and of itself, the giving of gifts is not a bad thing. In fact, giving gifts can be a demonstration of love, which again is what Christmas is all about. And there is this tradition starting from the very birth of Christ of giving gifts. And we know this from the story of the three magi. So the three magi came, and what did they bring? They each brought a gift for the baby Jesus. One brought gold, one brought frankincense, and the third brought myrrh. So this is really the start of this tradition of gift giving at the time of Christmas. Now, the Magi simply weren't bringing and giving away gifts. These gifts had a symbolic component to them. Gold, as some of you may know, is symbolic of Christ's heritage as a king. Frankincense, which is a type of incense, is symbolic of the Christ's divine heritage. And the third gift, myrrh, back in the time of Christ Jesus when he was born, myrrh was used a lot as an embalming oil. And it in fact would be used as an embalming oil for the dead. So some of you might be asking yourself, well, why would one of the Magi bring myrrh as a gift to the Christ? Well, part of the explanation is that the Christ knew what his path was on this earth. And his path on this earth was to align his will completely and totally with the will of God. The will of God was that he had to fulfill prophecy, and that included dying on the cross. And so this myrrh, this embalming oil, was this foreshadowing of what Christ had to do: get on the cross, be crucified, so that he could cleanse the sins of all humanity. There's some question as to whether Christmas, which is celebrated on December 25th, as we all know, is the actual date of Jesus' birth. We don't really know the answer to that question. There's very little information about the day and the month that Christ was born. There is some evidence that the church chose December 25th as the birthday of Christ because it was around that time that the pagans would celebrate the winter solstice. And so they decided if they were going to replace that pagan celebration, they would replace it with a celebration of the birth of Christ. But not even that is clear. There's also some question as to whether the Christ was born in Bethlehem, born in a manger, and born in a stable. Again, historically, we don't have enough evidence to say whether or not that really happened. In fact, there's some evidence to suggest that Christ was born in a cave, not in a stable, and that he was born in an area close to Bethlehem, but not in Bethlehem. And here's the point I'm trying to make. Does it really matter if Christ was born on December 25th? Does it really matter if he was born in a manger, in a stable, in Bethlehem? The answer is a definitive no. That is not the takeaway message of Christmas. And by that I mean the takeaway message of Christmas is not Jesus was born on December 25th in a manger, in a stable, in Bethlehem. The takeaway message is that God so loved the world and appreciated our suffering and wanted to help us achieve enlightenment that he sent his only begotten Son through love. The message is love. That's the takeaway message. And as many of us know, love is a merging. Love in and of itself as a word is very difficult to describe. It's really like trying to describe God. You can talk about aspects of it, but you really can't nail down exactly in all of its manifestations what love is. But we can say that love is emerging. That if you love something, whether it is a person, a place, or a thing, you are linked with it, and it is linked with you. You are a part of it, and it is a part of you. You can go further that whatever you love, person, place, or thing, would not exist without you, and you would not exist without it. One of the great things about love, and I've shared this before in other discourses, is that everybody has the ability to love. We are all born with this capacity. It does not matter what our station is in life. It doesn't matter if we're poor or rich. It doesn't matter if we are uneducated or educated. It doesn't matter if we're married or not married, have kids or don't have kids. All of that is irrelevant because the ability to love is part of our DNA. It is our divine heritage. And it is through the recognition of love in all of its manifestations that allows us to move up the mountain of enlightenment, to go through the eye of the needle, and to return again to the source as love. So in this time of Christmas, with the takeaway message really being love, I would urge everybody to think love, speak lovingly, act lovingly, so that you can merge with all of creation and so that it can merge with you, making us one with all. all as one. The true meaning of Christmas. And I wanted to end the discourse with a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist monk, because it ties into this key concept of love as being the true meaning of Christmas. And here's what Thich Nhat Hanh says. If you pour a handful of salt into a cup of water, the water becomes undrinkable. But if you pour the salt into a river, people can continue to draw the water to cook, wash, and drink. The river is immense, and it has the capacity to receive, embrace, and transform. When our hearts are small, our understanding and compassion are limited, and we suffer. We can't accept or tolerate others and their shortcomings, and we demand that they change. But when our hearts expand, these same things don't make us suffer anymore. We have understanding and compassion and can embrace others. We accept others as they are, and then they have a chance to transform. So God bless all of you. We wish you great joy and wisdom and, of course, love during this Christmas time, this holiday season. And, of course, we wish you all the best for the upcoming new year. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support of the Spirit of Lotus during 2019. And we look forward to celebrating with you again in the upcoming year. God bless.